Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome, Caroline.
Thank you.
This will be a fast meeting with just the three of us.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Angela. I believe, Angela, you are at a remote location that is accessible and publicly noted so that you count as one of our calls.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. I know our new member, Caroline Lutongan, will be joining us remotely, but I don't think her location counts as accessible and publicly open to the public. So whilst she's certainly welcome to join us, I don't think it counts as part of our call. Give folks a couple of minutes to settle and then we'll call to order.
Okay.
Just a reminder for everyone to speak directly into the mic. We'll always take comments. Yes, for the speech.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order, please. Can everybody hear me clearly?
Yep.
Caroline, I see that you are commenting, but we don't hear you. Are you muted?
I'm not muted.
Okay, got you. Thank you. Call the meeting to order and roll call. I am Chair Ed Holland.
Kevin Welch.
Angela Hay.
You. We also have with us Howard Young, who is joint acting town manager and public works director. And our council liaison, Mary Hofty, is with us too. Item 2 is our opportunity for oral communications for items not on our public agenda. Does anybody have anything to comment, please? On that? Okay, certainly not. I do. As chair, I discovered quite by accident 2 evenings ago that our meetings were being published on YouTube as recordings. This came as a complete surprise to me, and I think to several other people. I'd certainly like to ask the straw poll question, how do you feel about that? There are a couple of elements about it that make me uneasy. One is that no official notice was given to us as committee members that this was going to take place. Second, no consent was asked of us to publish these things online. And I'm still wrangling with the personal privacy and other issues that surrounds. So I'd like briefly, if anybody else would like to comment on how they feel about our meetings being, recordings being shared online in perpetuity, and then please go ahead. Thank you.
Normally on YouTube, it actually says this meeting is being recorded. So quite why the system doesn't say that and ask for people's consent is mystifying. The other thing is, I think it's a good idea, particularly as I do the minutes, you know, just to check up on things. And I think as a public meeting, it's a good idea to have it. You know, the other town council, all those other meetings are there. And I happened to search for it and found it. And so I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good policy of the town.
Thank you.
My opinion, excuse me, my opinion is I wasn't informed, and that's one thing I think about my certain rights or that I should have to give this a forewarning before this thing is put on the air.
I think my concern is not that the recordings are available, but that they are widely published to the entire internet. Okay.
Yeah, just one comment. I just want to let you know that the recordings, if there's concern about getting the recordings in public, you can also get the recordings from town hall. So, thank you.
Okay, there are no other oral communications this morning. Let's move on to item 3, which is approval of the minutes from our March 1st meeting. I think, Kevin, you had a couple of comments. about
Yeah, I
the
did.
meeting.
A couple of questions. There's information here from Jacqueline Davis regarding the rapid flashing beacon units that will be going in. And the only 2 that I know that are going in at this point are the one by the tennis club and the one by the crossing up by Corte Madera School. And she had mentioned on her oral report that there was one going on Bertola Road, there Woodside Priory. And I think that should be admitted at this point. And Triangle Park as well.
Yeah, I think it looked like she had a misunderstanding about it. Committee did not provide a corrective response to that.
Do we admit that?
Well, it was her question. It just wasn't answered. Nothing about it in minutes. That was the question she asked.
Okay.
Any further comments about our minutes? Or March 1st? So I will acknowledge that we agreed to approve the February minutes with corrections. I apologize that those corrections have not been provided yet. We need to get onto with, perhaps you and Angela, you and I can take that up.
Well, did we have a vote on the February minutes?
We voted to accept them with corrections, but I don't know if those corrections have actually been followed through yet.
Yeah,
Not sure what we should do in this case. Angela, you and I perhaps take another look at them and make sure that they're the best reflection we can make. Are you willing to do that?
sure.
Thank you.
Is there a recording for February, I guess, to check them?
It's a good question for Howard. Is there a recording?
I believe so. I guess we'll check with the town hall concerning the recording and try to get that to you.
All right, item 4 is our.
Are we going to vote on the March minutes
I
then?
beg your
Or
pardon, we have not voted, have we?
No, we haven't.
I propose that we accept them as submitted.
I second that.
Becky said it.
I agree.
Thank you for keeping me straight on procedure, Angela. I appreciate that. Item 4 is our sheriff's report. The review of citations and request for requests for officer coverage and attention. Gary, would you be able to speak to the police report, please?
Is Patrick's here online, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm here today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. So for the sheriff's office, you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. I need.
All right, so for the sheriff's office, we have no accidents in February, which is consistent with February of 2022. We have for citations, we have 7 moving citations and 8 parking citations. I think a lot of that's due to the weather. I also believe the reduction in traffic because of the weather. So we really have kind of a slow month here for February for the sheriff's office.
Okay. Any comments from the committee on the citations and report?
No, I haven't seen the report. And if you can forward that to me, I'd
I will
appreciate it.
forward that to the committee.
If in the future, if you guys just want to hand me your email addresses or if Ed Holling wants to forward the email addresses to me, they can.
I'm sorry, Patrick. We're having difficulty hearing you. Your connection is spotty.
Okay, I'm sorry. In the future, if you guys need, I can email them. I can email them to Gary, Howard, and to Edward. So I'm emailing them too. So
Thank you.
I can forward them to people.
I will distribute to the remainder of the committee and incorporate the latest report in the next month's minutes as a record so that they're accessible.
Good question. Were there any accidents last month?
No, there were not.
Were there any problems because of trees?
There was numerous trees that came down, and I spoke with Howard about that. And the town was able to take care of all the trees with minimal problems.
I think, speaking personally, I do notice considerable uptick in not only traffic, but bad behavior from traffic. And I think some general police presence protocols in the town would be a very welcome thing. Poor behavior at stop signs, speeding, and other things that I've noticed.
If there are
see-
specific kids, sorry, go ahead.
We would like to see you here.
If there's specific areas or concerns, you can either send them to me or, and I will address the deputies who are assigned to Patrol Valley to target those areas.
I think that was a question from Officer Taylor directed to Gary Nielsen to forward concerns and requests for any requests for coverage. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Ed, if anybody on the committee has some areas they like to have looked at, yeah, just let me know. I'll pass them on to Patrick.
Great, thank you. Kevin, I think you had one more.
I have a question for Patrick. In the vehicle code, I know we have the 3-foot limit when you pass a bicycle. However, we don't have out here bicycle lanes. We have shoulder lanes. We voted on that a while back. And I noticed that some of the bicyclists will ride not only 2 abreast, but sometimes 3 abreast. And what happens, they crowd into the flow lane. So therefore, the person coming towards them, let's say, has to go over the double yellow line into head-on traffic. Your officers look for that.
Yes, we actually actively search for the 3-foot rule, which I believe is like, it's like CDC 22675, I believe. I'll get the actual code for you, but we actually actively look for that code. And while looking for that code, the problem is that it has to happen in front of a law enforcement officer because it's an infraction. If it doesn't happen in front of a law enforcement officer, they can't enforce it. There is a video recording rule that also is in effect that can pass out some pamphlets to the town if they want to put those up on the website or to hand those out to members in the community. The issue becomes when the bikes in front of them were traveling too slow and the car has to go around them, which would thus create them to go into oncoming traffic. Then if that's the point, when the vehicles back up behind the bicyclists, they should be removed. Those bicycles should be pulled over at that point because they're impeding traffic. So they'd be in violation. The bicyclists are allowed to ride 2 to 3 abreast in a lane of traffic according to the rule. But passing them into the oncoming lane of traffic, you would be then creating a violation of the person who's passing them.
Right.
So
I
it becomes a
understand.
big conundrum.
I understand that fully. When you impede 5 cars or more, you must pull over the right. But a lot of the bicyclists, I notice I hear 2 abreast, and they're concerned about their personal interests rather than the traffic around them. And that's what kind of bothers me.
And we completely understand that. And when people try to enforce, they ask us to enforce the 3-foot rule, yet they're riding bicyclists like handlebar to handlebar. You know, we bring that up to them and talk to them about that. Our motor cops in Woodside and our people do that all the time.
Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And, thank you for your time attending our meeting today.
As I said, I'll send out a pamphlet to you guys that has the information on the 3-foot rule we put together for a couple other meetings that we do monthly. And I'll send that pamphlet out to you guys so you guys have that.
It might be a good idea to go and talk to the noon ride before they set off at Old Page Mill at 12:05. I mean, you could do that every day.
Yeah, we actually do reach out to the bicycle clubs in the community actively and ask them, you know, to be cognizant of the traffic that they're impeding.
Good.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. There's nothing further for Officer Taylor. Let's move on to item 5, which is our public works update from
Thank you. I just wanted to report some items I heard around town. So the first of all, things that we've kind of heard traffic related, nothing major, but there was a request to put a speed trailer on Valley Oak. And this is for those is that when Los Trancos is closed due to an emergency, and during this winter, there was a flood and then also down power lines, that emergency access gate was opened. And those residents coming from Blue Oaks or Vista Verde, Los Trancos Woods area in unincorporated San Mateo County, essentially use emergency gate to come down Los Trancos and cut through onto Valley Oak into the ranch. And there were some concerns about those folks speeding. Now, it does not happen very often. This gate, 0 to 1 time per year, maybe it opens. In this last storm, because it was unprecedented, it did happen twice. So the two comments that we got was for those people, folks who are speeding. So we have to, I think it's working with Gary and Ed to determine a safe place to put the radar trailer there. Whether it's effective or not, I don't know. But there is a hard spot because the road is narrow. There's no shoulder there to pull over and there are curbs. It's hard to put a radar trailer there. But once again, this does not happen that often.
Propose that perhaps an alternate would be to place the speed trailer on the long section of Alpine Road ahead before you reach Alpine. Between Portola Road and Indian Crossing.
Yeah, we could look into that too, but I think the main complaint was because on Valley Oak. There also was a request from a citizen of Vista Verde, unincorporated San Mateo County, that when there is a road blockage such as power lines and floods, that signs be placed up to direct them through the emergency access gate. And they were requesting the town of Portola Valley do that. So that's something difficult because we have such a small crew to do for that area. So whether that's something that we need to talk about, or if the committee wants to volunteer to do that, or if Vista Verde residents are requesting this, maybe they can volunteer to help out also. So let's see. Other than that, there were no major parking issues or traffic issues that we've heard of in the usual spots. We always check the usual spots on Westridge, on bottom of Golden Hills. I know we're working through some things with parking at Alpine Inn still, but really no major issues reported. The biggest things is from several weeks ago is the storms that we had. We had 5 inches of rain that came down. So that created a lot of work. We had slides on Grove Court, Golden Hills, Upper Alpine, and some mud flows on Alpine and Bear Gulch. And some trees downs. And we assessed the streets and the culverts, but we still have, because of all the work and the limited resources, we haven't assessed the trails yet. And we've asked the Trails Committee to assist us in assessing the storm damage there. I am looking at reimbursements for the storms in December, January. FEMA has a reimbursement, the state, that we're going through FEMA to try to get some reimbursement. So we still remain proactive on the storm front. The mud, though, you'll see it's stockpiled at Ford Field. The dumps would not take liquid mud. So we had to place it out in Ford Field to dry out, and the leagues know about that too.
Let's thank you out to the town. I think you've done an excellent job keeping our roads and shoulders clear, and as much as you can do has been done. So,
Thank you very much. And I think the Public Works Committee helped out too, and I think Kevin helped out too.
Right.
During the
I have.
storm. So
I
thank
have.
you. We had a landslide over there at the grove that blocked the roadway. So thanks for thanks for helping out, coming out and assessing the situation in the middle of the night. As well as Bob Boyle too, and Alex Doherty.
Okay. Good to know.
So let me continue. And I just also want to point out the uke that fell down that caused the fatality. That was in unincorporated San Mateo County. They've informed me that they issued an encroachment permit to Stanford to remove more trees there. And you probably saw the crane there last week and this week.
Yeah.
So but once again, that was in unincorporated San Mateo County, not actually in the town of Portola. Let's see, our fields are open. We gotten great comments, that we opened our fields. There's a lot of cities that haven't opened their fields, and they've let us know that they're happy that we've done that, and that we allow them to volunteer and work on our fields also. You also probably noticed a new type of porta potty at Ford Field. This is something that the Little League, they had a plastic round one there, but they wanted more upgraded one that had better facilities inside for their visitors. So that's placed there.
I have a question for you, Howard, on Ford Field, especially where all the debris is out there. Mud. Are they going to remove that shortly? Because as you know, Little League has started up and we have parking problems out there with all those piles of mud.
Yes. Yes, I've informed Patrick Taylor, Sergeant Patrick Taylor about that too. So we intend to remove the mud here in the next several weeks. We have to let it dry, but it just kept on raining. I think there's even more rain coming next week. So once it's dry, we've already lined up a contractor to basically pick that up and ship it off.
Right. So meantime, parents will have to park along Alpine Road, right?
Well, I talked to the league and they told me that their major games their major packed championships don't occur until the end of May, beginning of June.
Okay, yeah, time then to do that. That's great.
I know in past years, there's been some leniency.
Can't hear you, Ed.
Me and microphones have a very difficult relationship. How is that? Is that
Better, much better, much
I
better.
was going to comment that in past years, there has been some leniency shown to overflow parking at that location when there are games on.
Yes, I acknowledge that, and I've talked to Sergeant Patrick Taylor about the situation already. What the situation that the mud is causing and what could happen to parking on Alpine. So we spoke.
All the patrol teams have been notified. All the patrol sergeants have been notified to, when the league games are going on, to be lenient on the parking citations in that area for Howard's instruction.
Just to clarify, that will be to give them a little bit of breathing space and not just pick everybody.
That's
Yeah,
correct. That's correct.
Thank you.
Unless it's egregious.
Of course, if somebody's closing it out. Okay, thank you.
Going on, let's see. Still doing the road resurfacing project for next fiscal year. Once again, it's still Westridge Drive from roughly Cervantes East to Alpine Road. And that is a federally funded project. So it's about 5 times more paperwork than usual on a paving project once you take federal money. So that's in the works right now. I noticed that they're on Alpine Road and Patola Road, because of the rains and the heavy water coming off the Hot Burns property and the hillsides there, it's created some potholes that we'll address once the rain eases up. But there was a large amount of water coming off the hillside. And we also worked with MROSD because some of the drainage got misdirected due to circumstances that happened on their land that redirected it from going into our culverts. Instead, they went onto the trail in the stream. So that has been corrected, but there is still some after effects of the water perking out.
I was going to say, yes, there are. The road surface is somewhat damaged and there is gravel in the shoulder on that uphill side still.
Yeah, and once it dries up, we'll address that. But once again, there is some water coming naturally perking out of that hillside. And in addition, there was a pretty big drainage ditch that was rerouted during the storms due to some tilling around the property that rerouted it onto the trail and to the road. So that has been corrected. They quickly corrected it after we noted it.
Yep. And
so things are getting back to normal. But once again, a lot of it was due to the heavy amount of rainfall and water naturally perking out of that hillside. We're still assessing the trails. Once again, reminder, budget season is here. And I think Cindy Rodas, our finance director, has sent something out to all the committees already concerning the committee internals budget. And then the public works budget will be doing separately. Committee budget. Once again, it's things that within like events that you want to hold versus construction items. I know that there was a comment about crime in the parking lot at Ford Field. And I've reached out to Sergeant Patrick Taylor about it already. This was something I think someone for the public at the time mentioned, and we looked into it, and there was only one recordable accident that we found in the last 7 years. So, and we've talked to the league also to warn people about, they're doing a proactive job in warning people about break-ins during their events, particularly the events that are packed. But I was surprised to hear of it because we haven't seen broken glass there. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but according to the records, so far, without a deep dive, it's only one in the last 7 years that has reported. So I just want to mention that because we did get an inquiry about that. Parking on trails is something that the Trails Committee is concerned about, and then that we are looking at into also. So if you do see people parking on trails, please let PV Connect know. And that's the best way to deal with it. And then we'll send a code enforcement person there.
Are there any specific locations that are of concern?
I think we were looking at Fawn, but I personally visited those contractors last week. But there's a lot of random parking right now on trails. And we do remind contractors during the pre-con and let them know too multiple times. I think the contractors just have a hard time sometimes controlling their subs, which is still not an excuse. They can't park on the trails. I think I know that we talked about some sheriff services. I know the sheriff's contract is coming up, so I should voice your concern on how much services or additional services you want with Gary Nielsen. And let's see, I think there was the tree on Brookside is not on the agenda, so I'll update everyone now. So the trees have been removed. The large redwood has been removed. However, the original requester has not been able to comment on it yet. Once that person gets to comment, then we'll take more comments from there. I know there's some stump grinding to do. The contract was separated into two parts. First, the tree removal, and it was removed, during, I guess, right before the storm too. And then the storm hit. And then, so we were, with the small resource, small staff that we have, we were really concentrated on the storm. The next up is the stump grinding. However, there are plantings that are now still higher than the stump, the remaining plantings. And that's something that we need to talk to the homeowner about. So that's still a work in progress. And I think that
We talk. Howard? Go
Go to ask, I will offer to reach out to the requester, their opinion of how the work is progressing, and lost my train of thought.
so.
But if
They-
if you would like me to reach out to them, we'll update.
Yeah, no, he hasn't been able to see it yet due to business. So we'll hear back. But once again, it's separated into two parts. And if you're wondering why, it's just basically we haven't gotten to it yet. But also getting feedback, and then also there's some things to work out there to create the site visibility that we want. But I think from haven't gotten any comments about removal of the tree, they were pretty happy. That the requester was pretty happy with it, that it got done. So.
It gives us a great line of sight also, especially the people pulling from the driveways on the Portola Road.
I totally.
Great job,
appreciate
I'm
it.
telling you. Great job,
Yeah.
Alex.
Yeah, I totally appreciate it cycling down there the other day.
I do have another question on the crossing flags at the Priory crossing on Portola Road. I think we've kind of let those go, the flags. Is there any way that we can appropriate some funds or get the Boy Scouts to maybe update our crossing flags on the crosswalk at Priory?
So those were installed, and I don't think we never knew who placed them
I think
there.
that was a private endeavor or a school project or something, yeah.
So maybe we can reach out, or the committee can help reach out to whoever installed it and to say, hey, can you refresh?
I don't, but I can certainly post a question on the forum and ask. And perhaps
Mhm.
we could even ask for a donation that way. And
Yeah.
something we can do.
There was a study done by University of California, I know, about crossing flags. And they are effective because they find out that the people stand on the corner waiting to cross will eventually go across that crosswalk. So they are apparently productive as far as extending your body, especially the smaller kids, at a higher rate. So those people coming around that corner where that crosswalk is, they'll see those kids. So I would recommend we keep them. I like the idea. And I know they sometimes people will steal, take one of those flags for whatever purpose, but I think they're well worth the,
Disappear over time, and then because they're
Yeah,
outside, they fade over time as well, so they do.
you want to extend your body. I remember in Japan, when I was in Japan, they'd teach the kids to cross with their arms up. And that would extend their body. And so the motorists would do that. So I like the flag idea.
Thank you.
So if we can, maybe before going to the PP form, we can basically maybe find out who, internally find out who did it, and maybe they're willing to. I think it's maybe some of the adjacent residents there.
I think that might be correct.
Okay, and that finishes my report. However, I noticed that it's one of there's two hands up here.
Oh, thank you. We're not seeing those on the main monitor, so. Christy Colley, I see you have a question. Very quickly, please.
Yes, I was unable to attend the sheriff meeting because it was not on Zoom and I was traveling, so I am not updated on the crime, and I apologize, I did miss his report. I would like to know the hot spots in the area and if we're planning to install the flock in addition to our older license readers. We know that Los Altos Hills is up at 38 flock. We know Woodside is at 22 flock. We know Santa Clara has flock, Atherton has flock, and we seem to be low with just 3 because these cities are doing their hot spots where crime is committed on a continual basis. And I live on Golden Oak, and it is known to be a hot spot with my neighbor hit twice, my neighbor 2 doors away hit twice, and 1 block away hit twice. And now the other side of Golden Oak from where I live was hit, and I'm at the bottom of Golden Oak and Alpine. So I continue to ask about Flock gives 60 days free. It's $2,300 per flock. And it's,
I think this is a great question, but it is not it's maybe something to bring up directly with the council. That our purview here is traffic safety.
okay, yeah.
I hate to
This
cut you
is
off, but I don't mean to be rude.
Okay, so I would request sheriff meetings be on Zoom. I've also noticed the Hawthorne's water coming out of the hillside and draining onto streets in the ranch and causing waterfalls coming across their streets. So I know you've said that property owners keep water on their property. I don't think this is happening right now. And I think is it Mid-Peninsula Open Space District needs to.
Christy, we just addressed this. I think you missed it.
Yeah, but I don't know if all the locations have been recorded. So I'll talk to Howard about that because I do have some pictures. Mud on the parking lot at Ford Field. Do all contractors require dry soil to move it? Or are we trying to save money to get the weight down due to mud is heavier than?
Christy, I'm sorry, we're wandering way off base here. And we have a very limited amount of time.
Well, I
Would
had
you
my
like to-
hand up and I didn't get called on. But so the dry, so I'm concerned that they do not have enough parking at Ford Field. And do we have other places we can dump mud? That's my question. Because we own other, we own other land to dump mud on that wouldn't be a parking lot. So that's my question. Crime in the parking lot, I talked to, for Ford Field, I did talk to the president and she said there were multiple crimes. Maybe they were not recorded in the past. And that would be a conversation to make sure that everyone records with the sheriff if their car is broken into, because these people sometimes are not Portola Valley residents and they don't know what to do next. So how do we get that word out to the president? And then who paid for the bathrooms and what was the cost? And there's still no crossing flags at Alpine Road at the crosswalk going over to Alpine Swim and Tennis. So a year and a half to 2 years ago, I've sent the idea of flags. I don't think these should be, this is a traffic and safety issue. It is a priority of the town council is safety now. So I think we have to look at this differently and act.
Christie, thank you. I appreciate all your comments. We have discussed most of these already during the meeting. We are going to reach
No,
out.
I was listening, but I didn't get to comment yet. So these are my comments that when will the lights be at the crosswalk at Alpine and Golden Oak?
Howard, do you have an update on the?
If you, and we can't hear you when you turn your head. If you could just talk
I
straight
beg
in.
your pardon, this
Thank you.
situation with the microphone for me is very, very difficult. If I move an inch, people cannot hear me.
I know. Yeah, I'm just reminding you, thanks.
I can answer concerning the rapid flashing beacons. I think as I reported before, we are aiming for this summer to complete the design and shortly after to get the necessary approvals and acquire get a contractor and equipment on board. That is the update I provided before, and I think we're still aiming for that. Thank you. Thank you. Also, concerning your other questions, Christy, I think we've talked about these before, maybe not within this meeting, but you're welcome to call me and we can go over these things also.
Well, I'm real concerned about the soil on the parking lot. I think it causes people to get tickets on Alpine Road. I mean, you're actually taking away at least 10 parking places, putting them out on Alpine Road, and now they're going to get the tickets because of it.
No, we have addressed that, and the sheriff's office have agreed that they will show some leniency to parking outside the lot. Thank you, Christy.
Okay,
You have
thank you.
one more comment from Caroline Batongen. Caroline, would you make your point quickly, please?
Yes, I had a question similar like Christy. I was hoping that Sergeant Taylor could give us a report. I could not attend that meeting end of March, but I would like to hear the concerns of the residents, and I was hoping that he could address it. In regards to the flags at the crossings, thank you, Mr. Walsh, for confirming there's several reports and studies to confirm that these flags at the crossings do work. And if I'm correct, or if I could recall correctly, that was actually donated by the parents of Corte Madera students, because it was a collaboration with the school Portola Valley School District. I was hoping that we could comment or put our concerns in, and I don't know, I don't have Mr. Nielsen's email, but I would love to meet with him because I do have several concerns. I've been working or trying to work with the previous police chiefs in town, and yeah, I would like to share my concerns. So if we can get
I'll
that
send
email,
you-
that would be great.
I'll send you my email, Carolyn.
Thank you so much. Then I also had a question because it was with the bicycles that, you know, I also have that concern about the 3 feet rule. That led to another concern or question more for Public Works. We have street cleaning, and I rarely see that truck. So I was wondering, is there a schedule when that truck is supposed to clean the streets? And I would love to follow it one time to see how thoroughly they clean the streets, because for bikes, especially after storms like we had in the last month, it's very important that there's no debris on it's not bike lanes, but on the shoulders. And then in regards to the budget, I have also a proposal. So your proposal was great to put that money in for the flags. But also I was wondering, we don't have any, we cannot park or lock our bike by the schoolhouse. And I was wondering if you've been thinking about that. I know that Mr. Holland brings his bike in the schoolhouse, but I was wondering if that might be an item that you want to put on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. There are
Go
no-
ahead.
Gary, sorry.
Yeah, one thing more about the Valley Oak. In the future, something we can think about if it comes up again, as it did, actually it came up about 2 or 3 years ago about speeding down the hill toward the creek, is to find a willing resident who would give up just a little tiny bit of their driveway. And we could put it there. We'd have to take the van away, but just the trailer itself. So for the future.
Thank you. That's a good thought. Perhaps if we can approach the Ranch Association on that and maybe have them broadcast the request, that might be a good path forward.
I've got a comment on the bike lanes. I do see the truck and I see it go over twice sometimes, particularly at the corner of Indian Crossing and Alpine Road. It'll go around in circles there. And we have some of the cleanest bike lanes around. Having biked, I biked to Millbrae the other day. We have, and I've biked down to Mountain View. And we have very good cleaning on the bike lanes. And I think does it come every Monday, Howard?
Yes, the streets are swept. The main streets are swept twice a month, and the remaining streets are once a quarter. And the schedule is posted on the website. Has been posted on the website for quite a while. And thank you very much, Angela. We do take pride in getting the street sweeping. We do keep our shoulders clear, even though they're not official bike lanes.
And I've picked up a lot of big branches. When I've been cycling down Alpine Road, I usually stop to pick up any big branches that are in the way so that bikes don't have to swerve out. So, I mean, it is something we could get volunteers, maybe cyclists, just tell them to pick up the branches if they're not measuring their times or something. But we have some of the best, we have some of the cleanest bike lanes, I can tell you.
I have a question for Howard. Howard, as far as the shoulder lane going down on Ford Field, they have done some repair there for the telephone company. And I noticed that in the shoulder lane, they still have the pylons and the manhole covers, and they force the bicycles now into the traffic lane. Do you know when that's going to be taken care of? When you have a date on that at all?
I can find out. That has been a long-term project to get that, there's an underground vault there. They had to get all the equipment out of there. It was in that trailer, and then the residents didn't like the trailer there. So we had to get rid of the trailer. And so this is part of the whole process of moving all that equipment to somewhere else without placing cabinets on the corner, unsightly cabinets on the corner. So I can reach out to them, but it was probably to access their vaults that were most likely.
It's the manhole covers that are out there with pylons on them, and it causes the bicycles now going into the traffic lanes. So they probably will take care of that in a few weeks with a final coat of seal on top of that.
Yes, that's what they typically do. They're adjusting their manhole lids to the surface elevation, and they have to chisel around it and then repave it. So that's not a very big job, but it's just I'm sure they're waiting for the correct weather too.
Sure, that's right. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard.
With increased construction, isn't the construction companies required to clean the streets, and isn't that infrastructure as part of giving a permit? Just asking, because we have a lot more development coming, and it seems that possibly the developers could pay into a fee for the cleaning rather than the current residents. Isn't that part of the permit process?
So can I ask, I can try to answer that question. The question's a little vague in that if there's a particular address that you're concerned about, please let us know, the building department know, and via PV Connect. Building projects, in any range of building projects, there's going to be folks that do a great job and folks that maybe not do so much of a great job, and those things need to be reported. So if you have a specific address, and typically we go out right away for those things. I'm not aware of any mud that has been caused by a contractor at this point. So if there's someone specific, please email me to let me know or email PB Connect. Thank you.
Well, I think it's OSHA guidelines that if you're, I'm thinking of PVSD build and they're coming down Alpine Road, and I live on Alpine Road, it seems that their trucks are going back and forth. So at the entrance, there was a huge rock to the left. If you look at the entrance, there is now mud over the rock and the rock is unseen. And that is, that's covering up what was there prior and the environment. So I have a picture of before and after.
Thank you. Please share those pictures with us. We can look into that further. In the interest of time, I'd like to keep moving on to our next committee items. I don't see any further comments or requests for a comment. Our ongoing committee business. Oh, wait a minute, I skipped. Item 6 is a discussion of committee budget needs. We are incumbent upon us to generate an outline budget for outreach events, public notices and the like that the committee might foresee during 2023-2024. I don't have anything specific for that, but if you have, if there are things that you think should be included in our budget, please communicate those to me and I'll collate those ahead of our next meeting. Our item 7 is our.
Actually, I had just one idea. Well, I keep bringing this up, but I think a long time ago, the traffic committee or BBTS used to do a litter cleanup day for the whole entire community. They used to organize it. They used to have, kind of the cookies here and it's a thought. If the community is still open to that, is to organizing a day like that to get a lot of the kids community credit to college, a lot of community service hours. So
I think, yeah, we're still forgetting things we used to do pre-COVID that we can pick up again. So thank you, Howard, for the reminder. Moving on to item 7, our ongoing committee business. I have a standing item on here, item 7A, which doesn't necessarily require any committee discussion, but it is a request to the town for information or plans to review or update the circulation element to the general plan. I think that is probably well behind some of the other elements that are currently in discussion. But Mary, are you aware of any update or scheduling for discussion of the circulation element?
I can't hear Mary. Is Mary talking? Oh.
Yeah, Mary,
Yes, she
would
is.
you able to speak
She'll
into
go
one
to
of the
the
microphones?
microphone. That one doesn't work. You want another podium? Yeah, there you go. That one works.
Okay, we know all these microphones work perfectly. It's our general plan discussion group is working on our way towards circulation, and I think that'll be next month. But that doesn't come close to doing what you're talking about, which is which everything is behind. We haven't got the housing element done. We haven't got the safety element done, and the circulation element will be happening during that process.
Thank you. The point of this item, agenda item, is just to track how that process is lining up to us and just keep our eye on it. So thank you. Absolutely, completely. Unless anybody else has a question on that. Any questions? Any hands? Very good. Item 7B is an update, if we have one, from the subcommittee on alternative transportation and infrastructure, which I believe was Angela, yourself, and committee member Pat Bannon, who's probably with us today.
Yes, I do believe that Howard was going to ask Paul Krupke about markings or signs at Portola Road and Alpine at the junction so that cyclists would know where to go. But I don't think anything's been done on that. Is that right, Howard? Because we've got other priorities.
That's correct, Angela.
Thank you. Is there a estimated time when maybe begin that conversation with Paul?
Yeah, I'd like to clear up some of the speed survey stuff first, signs, and wrapping back to beacons before we get into that.
Thank you. I know you have a lot to pick up right now. No further comment on that. I see Caroline, do you have a hand up still, or is that just a remnant hand?
No, this is a hand. I wanted to ask about Angela and Pat's idea. I thought they also wanted to talk about the roundabouts and if
Yes.
that's a possibility in the town. I think that will help the traffic slow down, and it would fit in our rural character of the town. So yeah, I think we should put this on the agenda.
I honestly think, a lot of people want to slow the traffic, and we just stayed between Camas and Washougal on the Columbian River, and both Camas and Washougal have roundabouts, and it says, this is the town of Camas, this is the town of Washougal, and they are wonderful roundabouts. And these are two small towns that used to be sort of industrial, but now they're trying to make them more touristy. And they have roundabouts at the entrances to their town. And I honestly think that, Stanford's educated everybody what a roundabout looks like. I honestly think we should consider a serious public works study, or possibly an initiative. If people really want to slow traffic, the only way you slow traffic for a lot of traffic is physically, and somehow you have to do it physically, either like on Junipero, Sarah putting kinks in the road to slow people down, or other ways. And we will not slow the traffic in Portola Valley until we have some obstacles in the road.
Right. No, thank you, Angela. Any further comments on that item? How would you have?
I think if a study like that's going to take quite a bit of time and funds, and it does take a lot of right away, and this is it would be a big infrastructure project, and something like that has to be brought through the town council before we start talking.
One of the things I'd be concerned about is fire and earthquake out here where we live. We want to get people out of this town as fast as possible. When you have roundabouts, it does slow traffic down. We know that for a fact. But for emergency vehicles and executing a fire plan, it slows people from the evacuation, getting out of the town. And that's one thing we have to really concern ourselves about when we think about it. But I like, if we're going to do a study on that, I have no problems with that.
Yeah, and the ways to do it, like put a road through the middle of the roundabout for a fire engine or something. And, other towns manage this.
Thank you. Let's keep that as a.
Ed?
Yes.
Ed, I'm sorry, this is Rita. I'm driving. Just want to comment about the roundabouts, or are we at that stage?
We are very quickly, please, because we have limited
Very
time.
quickly, very quickly. The town of Ladera is looking into, a previous town council member helped Ladera get money from the county for a study on a roundabout on La Mesa. And the question is, how will that affect our ability to evacuate if one is there? Because then the fire trucks, all of this stuff with the fire trucks. So before, we start digging anything for a roundabout, we should probably look into what's happening with that particular study and how that one's going to affect us, so that we can save money and not have to do a study for ourselves.
That's a very
Thanks.
good point. Thank you. Thank you. Christy, I see you have a hand up. We have 3 minutes remaining in our meeting.
Yes, there's a 2017 Alpine Road circulation study that was done by the San Mateo County. San Mateo County is Ladera on Alpine Road to 280. So the only part of Alpine Road that's been studied to do this is La Cuesta and La Mesa. And I've seen also the roundabouts in Truckee. And I don't know if this is part of the gateway that would be Ladera Church, Dorothy Ford Field, and Ford Field, Dorothy Ford Park open space, Ford Field. But we need to, if we were to do roundabouts, I am proposing that you would not put plants and decorations in the middle, that it be a drivable over the roundabout in the middle. So this is part of the circulation study that we need to do from our sign, entering Portola Valley and all the way down Alpine Road, Portola Road, and do all the arteries and tributaries off of our main roads. That's what a full circulation study, I believe we did a partial circulation study and we did not do a full one. And our general plan right now says to work with other jurisdictions, especially with safety issues, and work together. So we can't just say that our road ends at the sign that says entering Cola Valley. We need to work with San Mateo County and get grants to get a full circulation study so they come up with recommendations for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will send the study to your committee.
Thank you. It is also probably worth reviewing the Alpine Road corridor study that was around about the same time. if that's what
Yeah,
you're
that's the
referring
one I'm
to.
talking about.
Thank you, yes.
2017.
Moving quickly to item 7C, which is the committee structure review. I forget it was late February or early March. I attended a committee of committees, which was at the invitation of Council Member Sarah Wernikoff and Council Member Craig Taylor, to begin a discussion on reviewing the actions and priorities, not the priorities for committees, but the committee structure and possible restructuring of the way committees work in sync with the Brown Act and how they're managed and controlled through the town. Included the framework proposal that was the working paper for that meeting in the agenda for this meeting. I would ask all committee members and attendees to the meeting to look at that and send me their comments or send their comments to Craig Taylor or to Sarah Wernikoff with feedback on how they feel about the different committee structures that are proposed or suggested within that ideas framework for changing, possibly changing the way that committees work. We don't have a long time to discuss that here today, but please give that careful consideration. I will couch that with at least one comment from what I learned at that meeting, which is that because BPTS is a required committee as part of town government, that does make it pretty well, as things stand currently, it must be a Brown Act committee because our members are appointed by the council. And so that's just a procedural thing. So although it doesn't look like, it looks like we will still be sort of hardwired into the Brown Act for nearly all of our activities. It was suggested that there may be ways in which some of our discussions may be able to work under more relaxed circumstances. So please give those ideas, your thought and your feedback to me in time for the next Committee of Committees meeting. I don't think that's been scheduled yet, but I will let you know as soon as that is. Item 8.
Okay, so you know where it is? So it's
Oh, Carolyn.
Okay, I thought somebody was making a comment. I don't think there are any comments on that item. Item 8 is our events. I know Pat sent me some information on Bike from Work Day or Bike to Wherever Day. Is that correct? Angela, are you aware of that one?
Yeah, we had it in the minutes, the dates.
That's right.
And I can't remember was it May 9th? Or I can't remember when it was, but there's a range of days was the thing, right?
That's right.
And last year we found that I think was it a Friday night wasn't the best time.
Mm-hmm. Trying to scan the minutes very briefly here, but I don't see anything.
Don't worry about it. I think the point is that we'll do a booth whenever it seems sense, and we can work that offline, right?
All right. Yes, thank you.
Do we have to vote that we're going to do a booth? I don't think so, right?
I don't think so. That's just an activity.
And the food is budgeted. The food is budgeted in our budget, right? So
Usually Pat was the chair of that particular
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let me know that she hopes to attend our next meeting and so I think that will come ahead of whatever we're doing in May anyway. So that will be birthday. I don't believe there are any plans for that in the town calendar. Haven't seen anything. And then the town picnic and Dots to Tots. I know Kathy was beginning to talk to us about that and requesting help again. We'll keep a watch on that and we'll publish more as we have it. If there's nothing more on events, item 9 would be our matters arising. I don't think you have anything pressing there from anybody.
No.
Anybody online have a comment?
I've just got one comment, and that's about bikes, mountain bikes and trails. And I think the county is looking at that. Routes for mountain bikes might affect us, but
Yep. It is confusing because signage is not clear. People ride out to here because Windy Hill is accessible to bikes, but the town trails, which appear to be all part of the same interconnected system, if you're not aware, of course, are not. I don't believe any of our trails allow bikes except the paved section of Alpine Trail.
I'll have to defer to the trails map that's posted online.
I think that's correct.
but who's going to look at that when they come on a bike ride? Seriously.
Precisely, yeah. And then I know well, I shan't name names, but there are plenty of individuals in town who will ride on the trails. So our problems may not be so.
Well, we may just have to say that they are mountain bike trails, but we need to we need to work with the Trails Committee. I think we're just, you know, maybe it's all part of the circulation element.
Through the chair, I just wanted to note that I know that the Trails Committee is looking to a trails map and usage. And just a reminder that usage is dictated with the underlying easement that was provided to the town by the private property homeowner or the subdivider. So use of that is dictated by those legal easements. So that's something to look into. Trails in the right of way are different where the town controls. But there is a town resolution dictated by the town council, which is also reliant on the actual easements from the title documents and subdivision documents for private property. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, I'd like to declare the meeting adjourned, notifying that our next regularly scheduled meeting will be May 3rd. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Productive meeting today. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, people are still there. Oh, well. Bye, Christy. All I can say is the sound is a lot better from people's home systems than the town.
Yeah, thanks for what you do. Bye.
Yeah, you want to see out of my window? Right. Anyway. Okay, I'm off.